Hello internet friends, time again to do one of my favourite things in the world at the moment, which is unbox NeMA Studios figures. This is a very niche toy producer in the UK that I really love because they're doing a lot of stuff that is themed around 80s properties, toys, TV shows, whatnot. I've talked a little bit about them on the channel already, but I've got a new couple of figures which I will talk about in a moment, which cartoons they hark back to, and in this case a television commercial which is like the deepest of deepest dives, although they have done that already with some crisps. The Space Raiders Astra figure, which I've already talked about on the channel, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much. But yeah, one that I just had to unbox this guy, and it was just one figure, so it's like, and it's a continuation of a line. If you don't know, Trapdoor was an 80s claymation kids cartoon. If you're about my age, so I would have been about 10 when it came out. And like a lot of those things, they make an indelible impression at that age. So you remember these things. And NeMA have been doing a range of figures. They've got a playset for them. They've got more than these. These are just the ones that I've got, but he's the main guy in it, Burke. And then you have the monsters that he encounters. This is one of the early monsters as well, Thort. When they brought this guy out, this was the one that I wanted next because I have a very specific, bear with me, a very specific memory of this guy. You know that phenomenon where you say a word over and over again and it loses all meaning? That must have happened to me at age 10 because this guy's name is Thort. T-H-O-R-T. And I'd been watching this TV show, and I went into school, and I remember we must have been reading something, and the word thought came up in whatever we were studying. The word thought, T-H-O-U-G-H-T. And for some reason, I couldn't get it into my head that that's the name of a monster. That's not a word. So I remember saying to my teacher, "Is thought a word?" Because I was thinking of this guy, and my teacher looked at me like I was absolutely insane. Of course, thought is a word. Now, that is something that I remember at 45. It's just one of those stupid, embarrassing memories from when you were a kid and you embarrassed yourself because you'd been watching a silly claymation cartoon. And this guy pursues Burke through that particular episode, and I think he crops up. He's like a plant monster, very unique, and the sound design in the show was really good as well.
Steady. Steady, steady. Ah!
NeMA have done a great job at reproducing him. He has 3 points of articulation. This is not a statue, although it says at the top, adult collectible. It's not for kids, but it's not a statue either. He has points of articulation, 3. You can move his wings, he can move his head, and these are ones I'm not taking out of the box. This is why I try to think, well, what kind of video can I do with this unboxings when I get some new figures. But I did want to talk about Thort. Although for this video, I wanted to know a little bit more about NeMA, so I did get in touch with Nick and got some information just basically about what the studio is. So it's Nick and his wife, Emma. NeMA stands for Nick and Emma, so Nick and Emma Studios. And Emma is actually one of the artists, and she designed all the Trapdoor figures. She designed the Space Raiders Astra figure, the Grotbags figure. You know, it's great to say. I always like to support people who are kind of making it happen. You know, they have an idea, they have a passion, and they do it themselves, and they're making it happen. Another person that they work with is Theo. He has a YouTube channel called Slime House, and he has some videos up all about NeMA Studios. I'll link to it here because there's a really good one where he's talking to Nick in 2019 all about some of the work that he's done on Duck Boy, and he has some other videos where I think he's worked on things like the Deathlatron. They do a range based on bootlegs from the 80s as well. So I'll link that to Theo's video. He has a great YouTube channel that's worth watching anyway, but he's a fantastic artist who NeMA work with. So yeah, really excited. So the thing that I've got to unbox today, 2 deep dives from the 80s, is a Knightmare figure, the Adventurer, that's actually triggered me wanting to rewatch Knightmare. Knightmare was It's one of those early sort of shows that integrated CG, computer graphics, into a format, so a game show format for kids, and they have to navigate through a dungeon. So they brought out the adventurer, which is the main kid who goes through the dungeon. The other one is from the Sweets, Chewits. There was a very famous, again, claymation cartoon, but this was a commercial of this dinosaur kind of eating buildings around the world, and nothing compared to the taste of Chewits. That was the hook for the commercial. But anyone of my generation remembers that commercial because of a very famous line, Chewits even chewier than Barrow in Furness bus depot.
Chewits are even chewier than Barrow in Furness bus depot.
Yeah, so let's get into it and unbox the latest figures from NeMA Studios. I don't know, I feel like when I order from a company like NeMA, it's a little bit more like Christmas than just ordering from Amazon or whatnot, because they package it so nicely. It's like you're a really valued customer. Because it's a small producer and stuff. When you purchase from Amazon, it's like things are just dumped in a box. This is more personal. It's even got my real name on it. It's Rick. There we go. It's a massive box with loads of padding. You know, for like two action figures. I love it. You know, and the logistics of doing something like this, setting up on your own and 3D printing. A lot of people 3D print action figures these days, don't they? But to actually shoot, I forgot to put my mic on. It might have sounded a little bit crap there. Let's see what we can do in post. Yeah, like I was saying, it's an entirely different prospect setting up in business and doing things along the production line. According to that video that I watched of Theo's, they were working with China, but then I watched a more recent video where Nick was talking about trying to do a lot of it in the UK now. I think because of during COVID, but now afterwards things are different, aren't they, with distribution and stuff and shipping costs, and maybe it's becoming difficult with Brexit. Trade deals are different. All right, so are you ready for this? This is so cool. Let's get this out of the way. I love what they've done here. And like I was saying in a previous video, I never know what they're going to produce next, and it's never what I'm expecting. So this guy, anyone who knows the Sweets, I imagine they're global, right? Chewits, they're everywhere. But I think of them as a British staple, but they're probably not. They're probably an American company. Fiendish Feet, they do those. That was a series of yogurts that were a thing in the 80s. Yogurts with faces on them, fiendish faces. I think Theo does those. Was that right on the email? Theo painted the card art for the Fiendish Feet. Right. And Emma designed the figures of the Fiendish Feet. Anyway, this is not Fiendish Feet. This is the Muncher Monster. And with each figure that they release, I think it's getting a little bit more sophisticated in terms of articulation. Like this guy has got 5 points of articulation. And he's not exactly the way he looks in the cartoon. It's kind of an interpretation of it. That I like having up there. It was similar with the Astra figure, which let me go and get it because it's relevant. They're both ads for products in the 80s. Hold on. Okay, so there we go. There's Astra from the Space Racers. That's crisps. These are sweets. And it's almost, if you think of like the original 3 3/4 inch Star Wars range, the vintage range from the 70s and 80s, they were not photorealistic. I know figures, you can get them super accurate these days, but part of the design that you're going for with something that's retro like this is kind of that you get an approximation. So to go too close to the actual design would kind of defeat the point. It wouldn't look retro, if you see what I mean. But I love this guy. Fruit salad favour kaiju. And if you're really into it, I can imagine them bringing this guy out with different colours as well, like strawberry, blackcurrant. Fully posable action figure. Cool. So that is the latest one that I've got. And well, I mean, they're both great, but this is the one that I'm really chuffed about. Knightmare, a classic show from the 80s. Made an indelible impression on everyone who watched it. The Dungeoneer, the Helmet of Justice. Isn't this great? Look at the card art. That is so good. Really love that. I think this guy is three points of articulation. He may have a waist swivel. I'm not sure. But so beautifully designed. That's fantastic. Emma's done an amazing job with this guy. It made me want to rewatch the TV show. So it just goes to show, like, people who are not doing anything with these licenses, you know, give them to people because it will reignite interest in the thing. You know, I'm rewatching it. That's an actual screen. Well, it's not I think it's a reproduction of a screen from the TV show, but it was very tense. It was like, although it was a silly kids TV show with CG in it, and it was nail biting because the kids had to navigate, they had to figure out puzzles and stuff. It was really, really good. I might actually do a watch through for my channel and talk about it a little bit. If I do, I'll put a link up here and you can watch. But yeah, fantastic. Another one that I can imagine infinite variations on this. Once you've done this, like, that's a boy. So could we have a girl one with a different t-shirt on, different jeans? Like, you could even do really weird things, like what's Hasbro doing at the minute with where they're allowing people to put their own heads on it. Like, you can't do your own head, but maybe you can, maybe they could do custom figures where it's like, yeah, if I was on Knightmare, this is what I would have been wearing, and then make a custom one that's cost like £500. But yeah, they're fantastic, and they go straight up on my wall, and I would love to take them out of the package for you guys. But I mean, with the trapdoor figures and the playset, it's getting to the stage where I really would like to display them, but I can't at the stage that I'm at. If the YouTube channel goes somewhere and I make some money doing it, then I will buy extras of things to unbox, but right now I can't do it. So I'm going to stick these up on my wall. Yeah, so thank you very much to Nick and Emma for continuing to produce these. I mean, people go into business to make money, of course they do. But a producer like this doesn't feel like it. It feels like, to me, like someone reaching into my brain and extracting things that meant something to me in the past and creating figures. Now, this is a thing that I've noticed. The last two that I got, Thort was the same. They don't have a hole punch in. So you're going to have to do something about that. However, I have a solution. It's definitely something that is a two-handed job. So we can't mess around here. We've got to get this right. So let's make sure we're banging the center of the figure. These are pretty cheap on eBay. There we go. Pretty central. Let's try and do the other one. Luckily, these are both central, so it's not too. Although he might be a little bit off center actually because of the tail. So I might go a little bit off to the side. I don't think it matters too much. You just got to try and get the center of gravity correct. You know, that's the bubble, but the main bulk of the figure is there because of the tail. So I think, hold on, I think it might have to go over to the side a little bit. I'm going to go for broke. All right, let's see. That's good. In place, pride of place. And that one, I've got it right. I figured it out. So it did need to be off center just a little bit, I feel like. it's fine anyway. Things are always a bit higgledy-piggledy when they're on pegs. So yeah, my latest NeMA Studios. I'm loving them. It's one of my favourite things. This is like my 80s deep dive niche corner. Apart from them, you know, they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. But these guys, this is my NeMA corner. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Sub up and like the video and all that YouTube crap. And I'll see you next time. Bye.